headlines of VTV News. Prime Minister calls for urgent actions on flood control and evacuation in localities. Top leader welcomes Lao Party General Secretary President in Hanoi. And later on in our world news, China and Russia plan to hold military drills by end of September.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Hello and welcome to this edition of VTV News, coming live to you from Hanoi. And here's the top news of the hour. Prime Minister Phie arrived in the northern province of Bắc Giang to inspect flood control and rescue efforts, as many areas in the region have been submerged by flood waters. He emphasized the urgency of addressing the Go River's rapid rise due to upstream water inflow and stressed the need for enhanced forecasting to identify potential flood zones. These measures will ensure timely evacuations, safe accommodations, and adequate provisions for affected residents. The Prime Minister praised Bắc Giang Province and Viet Yên District for their adherence to government directives, reaffirming the commitment to ensure that no one is deprived of food, clothing, or shelter. The Prime Minister directed authorities to promptly stabilize the situation and restore normalcy. Efforts are underway to deliver food, provisions, and essentials to those stranded by the flood. Schools are to remain closed until it is safe for students to return. Prime Minister Phie visited Vân Hà Commune in Viet Yên Town, where 9,000 residents have been isolated due to floods caused by Typhoon Yagi. Local authorities also need to ensure traffic safety, especially in deeply inundated areas and areas with high risk of landslides. Also, on the evening of September the 9th, Prime Minister Phie issued an urgent telegram regarding the immediate provision of food and essentials to people affected by Typhoon Yagi and its aftermath. He requested the Ministers of National Defense and Public Security to instruct their units to coordinate proactively with localities affected by Typhoon Yagi. Their task is to urgently transport food, including dry food and instant noodles, essentials, drinking water, and clean water to people in isolated areas. The Minister of Finance will provide 100 tons of rice from the National Reserve to both the Ministry of National Defense and the Ministry of Public Security. These ministries will then proactively transport the rice to localities facing shortages. The Prime Minister directed the secretaries and chairmen of the People's Committees in 14 provinces, including Lào Cai, Hòa Bình, Sơn La, Lai Châu, Điện Biên, Hà Giang, Cao Bằng, Bắc Kạn, Yên Bái, Tuyên Quang, Phú Thọ, Bắc Giang, Thái Nguyên, and Lạng Sơn to report on the status of people lacking food and clean water. He also instructed them to swiftly organize the distribution of food and necessities to affected people. Relevant units must promptly assess, repair, and restore medical facilities, schools, and classrooms damaged by the storm and flood. They should also quickly retreat the injured, attend people's health needs, and facilitate students' return to school as soon as possible. The Prime Minister has assigned Deputy Prime Minister Hồ Đức Phước to oversee the implementation of this official dispatch by relevant ministries, branches, and localities. Now, heavy rainfall persisted across northern provinces and cities from last night into this morning, causing river levels to surge to emergency levels. Flooding has expanded and intensified in many areas. In the northern coastal plains, rainfall exceeded 100 millimeters, including in Hanoi, leading to severe flooding in several provinces such as Hanoi, Phú Thọ, Thái Bình, Nam Định, and Ninh Bình. Although rainfall has decreased in the mountainous and midland regions, Yên Bái and Hòa Bình still experienced over 200 millimeters of rain. The upper reaches of the Red River and the Thao River through Lào Cai reached historic levels by 9 p.m. on September the 9th. While water levels have begun to recede, they remain above alert level 3. In Yên Bái, Flooding has surpassed historical levels recorded in 1968 and 2008 and continues to rise with severe impacts expected in low-lying areas and Yên City. The Go River in Thái Nguyên also reached historic high at 9 p.m. but has since receded by about 20 centimeters this morning. Flooding is expected to peak above alert level 3 tonight in Phổ Yên and Phú Yên, Thái Nguyên. In Lạng Sơn, river levels are gradually falling. As of noon today, only the Chung River remains above alert level 3, while the Kỳ Cùng and Bắc Giang rivers have dropped below alert level 1, and many previously flooded areas have begun to recede. As heavy rains and floods persist, local authorities are working tirelessly to address the escalating situation. The following provides an overview of the flood conditions in the northern mountainous regions, where the impact is currently most severe.
Nguyên Bình district in Cao Bằng is grappling with severe landslides, reporting 17 deaths, 8 injuries, and nearly 20 missing. A provincial command center has been set up in the district to coordinate search and rescue efforts. A bus carrying 12 people had previously fallen off a cliff. 7 bodies have been recovered and 1 survivor is receiving treatment. The province had mobilized forces and heavy equipment to clear debris and bridge the accident site. Additionally, 4 landslides have buried homes, exacerbating the damage.
Tuyên Quang has declared a state of emergency due to severe flooding, with river levels reaching alert level 3. On Monday night, several districts and cities began evacuating households from high-risk areas. In Na Hang town, 1 person died as a result of the flooding. Heavy rain continues, causing severe flooding across all 6 districts and cities and disrupting traffic. Emergency crews are on duty around the clock, ensuring no one goes hungry or lacks shelter, and evacuation efforts are ongoing in the most affected areas.
Many areas in Hà Giang province are now experiencing some sunshine after recent heavy rains. However, the downpours in the past few days have caused landslides and localized flooding, damaging dozens of homes and hundreds of hectares of rice fields. The low river at Hà Giang station is currently at alarm level 1. In Bắc Quang district, 113 houses has been damaged. Nearly 200 hectares of crops are flooded, and 10.3 hectares of aquaculture are at risk of total loss. Landslides at kilometer 140 on National Highway 4C in Đồng Văn district have blocked traffic. Mèo Vạc district has reported 1 death due to flooding. Authorities are working to clear roads to Hoàng Su Phi and Xín Mần districts and assist with evacuations.
In Thái Nguyên province, rising water levels in the Go River have left thousands of households stranded, causing shortages of food, clean water, and electricity. Thái Nguyên city is also experiencing new flooding hotspots due to ongoing heavy rain. Of the roughly 3,000 affected households, around 700 in high-risk areas are being prioritized for evacuation. However, rescue efforts were halted Monday night due to strong currents and challenging terrain, and they resumed on Tuesday morning. The Thái Nguyên Provincial People's Committee reports that while the Go River's water level is showing signs of stabilizing, it remains above alert level 3. The reinforced riverside dikes are holding, but the situation remains critical.
On Monday night in Lào Cai province, thousands of residents along the Red River were swiftly evacuated as landslides and flash floods threatened vulnerable areas. Local authorities are now working around the clock to manage the unfolding situation. Here's a look at the footage from the ground.
With tanks full of fuel and propellers churning at full throttle, motorboats were actively navigating An Dương Vương Street in Lào Cai City at 1 a.m. to quickly evacuate residents trapped in their homes before floodwaters continued to rise. In a matter of hours, floodwaters in Cốc Lếu Ward's neighborhoods along the Red River surged to 1.5 meters. Many residents were unable to evacuate in time and resorted to using flashlights to signal for rescue teams. Each time Phie, a security officer, spotted a flashlight or an arm waving, he urgently navigated his boat to provide rescue, despite knowing his own family members were still stranded in the floodwaters.
I still have 3 employees, my 2 grandkids and their parents, who are still trapped and are yet to be rescued.
Monday night and early Tuesday, hundreds of police officers, soldiers, local forces, and administrative officials from both the central government and Laogai province worked tirelessly to evacuate residents from areas along the Red River. Deng and his team remained resolute, braving the elements to ensure every person was safely brought out of the danger zone.
We've been rescuing people since early morning, over 100 trips so far. We've run out of gas, and no one is selling it right now.
Relying solely on manually rowed boats, authorities successfully evacuated thousands of residents trapped by floodwaters in Gok Leu and Pho Moi wards overnight.
Today, we underestimated the rising water. By evening, it was much higher, so I called for help. The rescuers were fantastic, and we are very grateful to them.
As of now, Laogai province reports 16 fatalities, 12 missing persons, and 15 injured due to the floods. The disaster has damaged 1,200 homes and affected over 900 hectares of agricultural and aquatic production. Severe flooding and landslides are expected to continue in the coming days.
In Lạng province, over 2,000 households in Chiang Định district remain stranded in flooded and isolated areas. Floodwaters are slowly receding, but residents continue to face significant challenges as they recover from the disaster. Our footage recorded just hours ago in Tet Khe town, Chiang Định district of the ongoing situation.
On the night of September the 9th, as floodwaters receded in Tet Khe town, Chiang Định district, families managed to leave their homes but were met with a chaotic scene of trash and mud. Lian's family had to rally everyone to clean up the debris while water still remained underfoot.
It'll probably take all night to clean up. If we don't get it done, the mud will settle in and it'll be much harder to clean tomorrow. Plus, we won't have a water supply.
Flood recovery remains challenging as waters has yet to fully recede. Many areas still suffer from electricity blackouts and lack water, making daily life extremely difficult.
We had fresh and filtered water ready, but it wasn't enough. We even set aside several cans of water, but they escaped during the floods, and now we have nothing left.
The massive amount of garbage in Tet Khe town is hindering rescue efforts and the delivery of essential. Fallen trees and power lines are also making it difficult to reach homes in narrow alleys or remote areas.
After 2 days of what can be described as a historic flood for this district, residents continue to face significant difficulties.
100,000 police officers from numerous localities are being mobilized to respond to Typhoon Yagi. Their mission is to support people in overcoming the consequences of the typhoon and floods and to help stabilize their lives quickly. Police forces are coordinating with functional forces to evacuate residents from flooded areas to safe locations.
During the night, amid raging floodwaters, a dedicated team of 15 officers and soldiers from the Leung Son District Police in Hòa Bình spent over an hour battling the elements to rescue a 6-month pregnant woman trapped in the floodwaters. Fortunately, they were able to bring her safely to the Commune People's Committee headquarters. All night long, police directed traffic and issued warnings of unsafe areas. They used flashlights to check that there were no people left behind in areas surrounded by floodwaters.
The water level has risen to nearly 2 meters. We are trying to help the elderly, children and some students move to safe places.
We evacuated 35 elderly people, children and property from the flooded area to safe places.
In many parts of Taingun and Yên cities, water level rose significantly, leaving some areas deeply submerged. The challenging terrain made it difficult or impossible for motorboats to reach affected households. For many hours, police officers waded through the rain and floods, checking each family to support people trapped in deeply flooded areas to safer places.
We used 2 canoes and 2 fire trucks to help local people in the flooded areas.
In the dark of night, in flood waters, the police always make sure to help people and deliver food packages. This has made people in disaster areas feel less worried and more secure.
On September the 10th, the low river's rising waters caused numerous batches to become stuck at Vĩnh Phú Bridge, which connects Vĩnh Phúc and Phú Thọ provinces. The strong current has left many ships and boats stranded at the bridge base. At 8 a.m., local authorities issued an emergency order to temporarily close Vĩnh Phú Bridge. They've initiated rescue operations to assist these stranded vessels, posted warning signs, and diverted traffic to ensure public safety. Additionally, according to Lào Cai Provincial Police, 2 iron ships, each weighing approximately 100 tons, were observed drifting from the upper reaches of the Red River through Cốc Liêu Bridge in Lào Cai City, continuing towards Phố Lu Bridge in Bảo Thắng District, Lào Cai Province. In response, local authorities blocked both ends of the bridges during the ship's passage to prevent accidents. By 10 p.m. last night, the ships were successfully towed to a safety in Sơn Hà Commune, Bảo Thắng District. And before we move to the next part of VTV News, let's check out the foreign exchange rate. Coming up next, top leader welcomes Lao Party General Secretary President in Hanoi. And National Assembly Chairman holds talks with Speaker of Russian Federation Council. Party General Secretary and State President Tô Lâm and his spouse hosted a red carpet welcome ceremony for General Secretary of the Lao People's Revolutionary Party, or LPRP Central Committee, and President of Laos Thongloun Sisoulith and his spouse in Hanoi on September the 10th. This marks President Sisoulith's second visit to Vietnam since the 11th National LPRP Congress in January 2021, following Party General Secretary Tô Lâm state visit to Laos as President of Vietnam in July 2024. The trip is considered a significant milestone in the history of bilateral ties, helping to elevate the two countries' great friendship, special solidarity, and comprehensive cooperation to new heights. This visit is expected to foster increasingly effective and practical relations, securing prosperity for people in both nations. Vietnam-Laos relations have been nurtured by generations of leaders and people of both nations and throughout the years of the independence struggle. This has laid the foundation for the two countries to strengthen cooperation across all fields with numerous projects and initiatives. Now, Speaker of the Federation Council of the Federal Assembly of the Russian Federation, Valentina Ivanova Matvienko, presided over an official welcome ceremony for visiting Vietnamese National Assembly Chairman Trần Thanh Mẫn in Moscow on the afternoon of September the 9th local time. The speaker noted that the Russia-Vietnam relationship has a 75-year history and had stood the test of time. In recent years, based on the efforts of high-ranking leaders of both countries, bilateral bilateral cooperation has been upgraded to a new level, a comprehensive strategic partnership. Following the talks, the Vietnamese National Assembly chairman and VTVgo signed a cooperation agreement between the Vietnamese National Assembly and the Federation Council of the Federal Assembly of Russia. They also witnessed the signing of a cooperation deal between Bà Rịa Vũng Tàu province and Rostov Oblast. By early September, Vietnam had exported over 6 million tons of rice, generating a turnover exceeding $3.7 billion, an increase of nearly 21% compared to the same period last year. With rice demand expected to remain high through year-end, factories in the Mekong Delta are accelerating their purchasing, processing, and exporting activities.
To fulfill year-end orders, this factory needs to purchase and process approximately 200 tons of rice daily. The company reports that the export market is improving as the year draws to a close.
Recently, Vietnam won 7 bids with Indonesia for 185,000 tons of rice. This country will continue to open bids for imports in the coming months, and we're also seeing an increase in orders from the Philippine market.
The Philippines recently reduced its rice import tax from 35% to 10%, signaling a positive change for traders to import Vietnamese rice more easily.
Reduced supply and increased demand have pushed up Vietnam's rice export prices. According to Vietnam's rice businesses, compared to the beginning of the third quarter, rice prices have increased by 50 to 70 USD.
The current low fall-winter rice supply creates conditions for maintaining high export prices. The recent price increase is already good. Currently, 1 ton of fragrant rice like this fetches a high selling price.
In the past 8 months, rice export output increased by less than 5% compared to the same period last year, while turnover exceeded 20%. These figures demonstrate that focusing on high-quality products is a sustainable direction for Vietnam's rice industry.
The successful signing of a protocol allowing Vietnamese fresh coconuts to be officially exported to China at the end of August is opening up opportunities to expand Vietnam's coconut market and provide a legal basis for Vietnam to organize and link up production more systematically and effectively. Vietnamese coconuts currently ranked 4th in total value in the global coconut market. According to the General Department of Customs, Vietnam's exports of coconuts and coconut products to 15 countries around the world reached about $900 million last year. With the opening of the Chinese market, fresh coconut export turnover this year is expected to exceed $1 billion. Vietnam and China have agreed to temporarily suspend import and export activities through international road border gates due to the impact of floods, according to information from the Lao Cai Economic Zone Management Board. Specifically, since early afternoon on September the 9th, Chinese authorities have suspended import and export activities. Additionally, import and export activities through Lao Cai International Border Gate have also been temporarily suspended due to a power outage on the Chinese side. Import and export activities will resume once the flood situation improves and the power outage at the Chinese Border Management Unit's intersectoral facility is resolved. Coming up next in our world news, China and Russia plan to hold military drills by end of September. And U.S. lost $5.6 billion last year in cryptocurrency fraud scams. The Chinese Ministry of Defense announced on Monday plans for joint military drills with Russia titled North Joint 2024 to be held in the skies and waters around the Sea of Japan and the Sea of Okhotsk this month. While the exact date has not yet been disclosed by the Chinese Ministry of Defense, the exercise aims to deepen strategic cooperation between the Chinese and Russian militaries and enhance their ability to jointly address security threats. Both nations plan to deploy their fleets to the Pacific Ocean for joint patrolling. Additionally, Chinese troops are expected to participate in the Russian strategic drills Ocean 2024. The water level of the Vistula, Poland's longest river, has hit a record low as much of the country experiences drought conditions due to a persistent heat wave and reduced rainfall, the Polish Institute of Meteorology and Water Management reported on Monday. The institute reported a low of 25 centimeters at the Bulwary Wisłane station on the Vistula in central Warsaw on a Sunday. However, a new record low of 24 centimeters was recorded on Monday, according to the Polish press agency. Experts attribute these low levels to high temperatures, lack of rainfall, and warm winters. The Vistula, Poland's longest and most important waterway, flows notably through the country's second largest city, Krakow, as well as the capital, Warsaw. Americans lost over $5.6 billion to cryptocurrency fraud schemes last year, according to an FBI report released Monday. This marks a 45% increase in losses from 2022. The FBI received nearly 70,000 complaints from victims of financial fraud involving Bitcoin, Ether, and other cryptocurrencies in 2023. Investment fraud was the most prevalent scheme, accounting for $3.96 billion of the losses. Cryptocurrencies' decentralized nature, rapid, irreversible transactions, and global value transfer capabilities make it appealing to criminals while complicating efforts to recover stolen And now let's take a look at the weather forecast. And that's it for this edition of VTV News. Thank you very much for watching. To rewatch our program, you can download VTVgo from App Store or Google Play, or tune in our YouTube channel at youtube.com/VTV4Go. Goodbye for now.